Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day's going wonderful, and I am back with 10 cards with the Oh What Fun card kit of the month from Spellbinders. It's the October 2022 card kit, and it's Christmas themed, which I love, and we're going to jump in and create some Christmas cards. Plenty of time to get them mailed off. Now, during my unboxing, I created this cute little Santa. He has lots of sparkle. We're going to use them. We're going to create. My cards are going to be pretty simple, but I did want to share some inspiration. So we have two different pieces of cardstock from our pattern paper. This one measures 3 1/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches. And then we have this one with the plaid. It measures 2 3/4 inches wide by 4 inches tall. We're going to actually mat these together. We'll do that right now. Just going to make sure they're centered here. After our pattern, I love this. This just to me screams Christmas. I'm going to flip this panel over and I'm going to add some foam behind it. I'm just using double-sided tape to adhere it. So I would just remove the release paper. We're going to put this on our card base. Make sure it opens the right way. This is going to go in the center. And we're going to keep it just really simple. I'm going to take Santa, flip him around. We're going to bring in some foam squares. Foam squares came in the kit, but I use so many of them, always run out. And plus, for me, these are just easier to use. So he's going to go right over. I don't know if you guys can tell. I put my measurements right in the middle just to make it easier, but I did that because I knew I was going to cover up those with Santa. I'm putting him in the middle a little bit towards the bottom, and then from our die cut pack I have some holly with some berries. We're going to add a small foam square. And then we're going to stamp our sentiment. I like the sentiment that says, "Just be jolly." I'm going to stamp with some black ink on a piece of white cardstock. And then I'll flip this around. We're going to add some foam tape behind here. I like it overlapping. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see better. And then we are going to go ahead and take some red gems. I'm using Spellbinders Color Essential Gems. I have a feeling I'll be using these a lot for Christmas. And I'm going to add some gems right over the holly berries that are on there. Okay, I'm going to plump up his nose by adding a little, my well-loved glazing glue glued over. So I'm going to unclog it. I have another one coming. I wish they sold the caps. I put some glazing glue on my Santa nose and a little bit on his mouth. You can see those gems sparkle, and that will finish card number 1. For my next card, I just used my scissors here, and I created a couple of hillsides. I know Spellbinders has some hillside dies. I will link them down below if you guys want to check it out. But freehanding them is just as easy. And then I have 3 different colors of pattern paper. We have our red and white stripe. This is going to go on the very bottom of our... Do we want to go across, straight across? Yes. I'm going to add my red and white striped about 1/2 of an inch off the bottom. I love these colors together. I think this might be my color this year. Last year I had pinks and teals. I think this year I might go candy cane stripes with the pale blue and some gold. I think that's really pretty. Before we go any further, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. This is from our stamp set. This is Christmas Starts with a Smile, and I thought it goes really good with the little polar bear. He's got quite a smile on him. So we will stamp this. I'm going to stamp this on the very bottom here, a little bit to the right. This way I have room for my polar bear. And then you can see I already have the Noel that you can die cut out with your dies that come in the kit this month. I went ahead and took some of the plaid paper. I did a redo and stuck it under the snowbank. This way I have a little bit of dimension with that. Now I'm going to take my cute little polar bear. Do we want to tuck him? No. We're going to take a couple foam squares. And then I think we need some snowballs. So we have some of the sequins from our kit this month. And I'm going to use some glue. I think that looks good. I'm going to take my glaze and glue and I'm going to add a little bit of shine to my polar bear's nose. And that finishes card number 2. For card number 3, we're keeping it, again, really simple. I have a panel of pattern paper that measures 5 inches wide by 3 3/4 inches tall. This is going to go directly on our card base. And I wanted to make sure, since we're making a landscape style card, that our stripes are horizontal too. So we'll tack this down, leaving a little bit of a white border. And then I have one of our chipboard frames. I'm going to remove the release paper, and then I trim down a circle with white cardstock, and I'm going to just tack that right over the frame. Now we can stamp our sentiment. We're going to be using the sentiment from our stamp set that says, "May your holidays be sprinkled with cheer." I think that's really pretty. There is our beautiful sentiment. Now I'm going to take this panel and we're going to add some of the poinsettias that came with our die cut pack, and also some of the holly leaves. I picked 3 of them. I like the holly leaves that didn't have the white border because our flowers don't have the border either. We're going to pop these up with some foam adhesive. Now I want to add a little bit of sparkle to the center of my poinsettias, but rather than use some gems, I'm going to use some of my glaze and glue. So I have some glaze and glue in the center, quite a lot. And then I'm going to go over the flower centers with some of my sparkle cuts. And then I'm also going to take my sequins and we're going to add some sequins to the center too. So we're going overboard with our flower centers. When you do this, you want to make sure that you're pressing down into that glaze and glue. And then that will finish card number 3. For my next card, we are going to create a shaker. So I have some acetate. I am going to use it's a little bit too big, so I'm going to trim this down. And then I did make sure that I had a piece of white cardstock to go behind it. We're going to flip this around. We remove the release paper, add the acetate. I mentioned during the unboxing, it's very easy to create a shaker with this. Next we're going to bring some foam adhesive. I have a little bit overhanging. I didn't measure that too well. Now I'm going to take some foam tape. These are some thin strips and we're going to add them around our window. Now if you like a lot of shake to your shakers, you would double up on this. Okay, now before we add our white cardstock, I'm going to add a little bit of color behind here. And I'm just using my blending brush that has probably peacock feathers on it. And I'm going to add a little bit of shading in back of here, just so it's not white. And the edges of your Christmas pudding have blue on it. Let me show you. So I think it'll go really good. Okay. Now we get to add our sequins. And then I'm taking my white panel. We're going to add this behind our shaker. Love how sparkly that looks. Now for this card, I mentioned it's going to be very simple. I'm taking my card base and we're going to take our shaker. I'm going to put my shaker where I want it to go. And then I have my sentiment, and I'm using the sentiment from our stamp set. This one says, "I hope your holidays are sweet." And putting it right under my shaker window. And for this, I don't trust myself, so I'm bringing in my stamping positioner. And if you guys are new, this little sticky mat, I picked this up from the dollar store. And I trimmed it down. It wasn't this size. It was just a little bit bigger. And it's working good so far. Now I'm going to flip around my shaker. We're going to add some adhesive behind it. Again, this one, oh, maybe we should put some, no, we have stripes from our, we're going to place our shaker right in the center. And then I have this border, I love this border. This is going to go right here across the shaker. I'm going to take a couple small foam squares and we'll tack these under the ends, and we will place this in the center. And for our cherry, I'm going to bring back my glazing glue. And it will dry clear, but it'll give me a little bit of dimension. Should I add a little sparkle? Why not? Sparkle's good. I have a little piece of cardstock that I threw in there during the unboxing, and I'm just going to get a little bit of sparkle for our cherry there. I'll tap off the excess in my little garbage can. And when it dries, we'll have dimension and sparkle. And then that will finish that card. Pretty simple, basic card. For card number 5, I have some pattern paper. This has the sprinkles on it. We're going to adhere this to our card base. And this measures 3 3/4 inches wide by 5 inches tall. We're using a lot of frames today. This was our Christmas tree that I created during the unboxing. And then I have this little chipboard sticker from our sticker pack. This says holiday cheer. We're going to take our striped frame. We'll remove the release paper. And then for this frame, I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind it to give it a little extra dimension. I removed the release paper off of the foam tape. I'm going to tack this down to some white cardstock. Before we add our tree and our chipboard stickers, we have some of our candies. And I'm going to add a few to our background to bring in some color here. I'm going to flip this around. We're going to take some tape, and this is going to go in the middle. And then we have our holiday cheer. I'm going to add a small piece of foam adhesive, and then we can add our sentiment up here. And then that will finish that card. We are going to be using, for our card number 6, we're going to be using another one of our frames. This is the pink one. And again, I trimmed down some white cardstock to go behind it. So I'm just going to remove the backing off of our frame. and then we can tack this down directly on that white cardstock. I like doing this because I like to pop it up and it doesn't compete with our background pattern paper, which I love. This is a panel that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. So I do have a little bit of a border showing on my card base. We're going to go ahead and tack this down. And then I have this, we're going to add some foam tape behind. This is going to go long ways on our card here. We have the cupcakes. Now I went through, I grabbed both the cupcakes from our die cut pack, and then where the berries are, the holly berries are on them, let me show you. I put some of my Spellbinders, my red color essential gems, and I mixed and matched between the small and the medium. And then I have some of our pine needles. We're going to go ahead and start by taking our largest pine needle, and we're going to create a swag, I guess you could say, on the very bottom here. And I think that looks good. Now we have just the berries in the die cut pack. We're going to take some foam tape. I'm just going to add one right in the middle of our pine needles, and then I'll add my berries. I do this because this way I can tuck our cupcakes in there. We're going to flip these around, put some foam square behind here. Before we add the cupcakes, we're going to stamp our sentiment right on the top. I'm going to bring back the sentiment that says, "I hope your holidays are sweet." Since I have foam behind this white cardstock, I think I'm safe by stamping it, but ideally I think you would want to stamp this when you put your first put your frame on. There we go. And then we can crisscross our cupcakes. Put them right below our berries. And then I'm going to bring in once more my glaze and glue. And I'm not going to add any sparkle to this one because I don't want it to compete with my gems. I think the gems are really pretty. But that will finish that card. For my next card, we're going to make a snowman scene. So I have another one of those frames. This is the oval one. And we have some of the snowflake pattern paper. I trimmed it down so it will fit behind my oval frame. And we'll just tack this down. Well, I have some pattern paper. It's the gold one. This one measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. We'll tack this down to the front of our card base. And then I'm going to take, I created a hillside. This measures the same width as our stripe border. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the bottom of my snow bake. Looks kind of funny, but I wanted to try something different. So we have our snowman. Before we add our snowman, I did trim down a thin strip of our gold mirror cardstock. I'm going to add a thin bead of glue just above our stripes. Kind of finishes off the seam here. I'm going to put this right in the middle, but I do want to add some foam tape behind here. And then we have our Merry Christmas from our chipboard pack. I'm going to add this. Wonderful. That's our sentiment. Now I do want to add one more thing. We're going to bring in our stickers. And there are some snowflakes in here that I thought would be fun to add around our little scene. Just 3, I think is perfect. Again, I'm going to bring in my color essential gems, the red ones, and I'm going to fill in these holly berries. And that will finish that card. For card number 7, I thought we'd create another snowy scene. So I have a panel that measures 3.5 inches by 4 3/4, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to my card base. I thought the stripes go really good with the Santa mail. I also have a panel of the snowflake pattern paper. This one measures 3 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches, 4 1/4 inches tall. I have a piece of white cardstock that's 3 inches wide, but I'm going to use my scissors, if I can find them. Well, normally I like to use my daughters are home. Maybe they snagged them. But I'm going to go kind of high on this, and I'm going to create a snowbank. And I'm going to go high and then kind of a loop. See, if I had my bigger scissors, it's easier to get a smooth edge. Okay, I found them. Blame them on the kids. But it was me. I threw them in the drawer. But I'm going to go ahead and recreate my snowbank. The bigger ones are easier to get a smooth cut. I think that's going to work out good. Now I have this piece. I'm going to make another snowbank. So I have 2 snowbanks that I can layer here on the bottom. So I'm going to first add my first snowbank to the snowflake pattern paper. I'm going to layer them together the way I want them, since one's shorter than the other. And then I can line them up where I want it to go. And I'll tack it down like this. This one we're going to pop up with some foam adhesive. Those are my measurements. Now this is pattern paper and it's just paper. So to make this stronger, I'm going to take some white cardstock and put this behind it. This is just going to give me stability with that white cardstock. Okay, now I love the mailbox, and I thought the birdie was really cute. But I thought this would make a cute little birdhouse. So we're going to modify our mailbox, and I'm going to add some adhesive behind the bottom, and then I have a thin strip of white cardstock. I'm just going to add it right behind it to make this little mailbox a birdhouse. And I think it'd be really cute for my little bird here. And I might have to trim this down a little bit. But I think that's so cute. So I think I should zoom in a little bit. I'm kind of far away. I'm going to flip this panel around. We're going to put some foam squares behind it. And I'm going to go ahead and add our birdhouse. And we'll tack this down at the very bottom over here. Then we have our little bird. I do want to take my craft knife and add a slit on top here, just above the gold. And then I'm going to tuck one of my letters inside of it. I have, since we have 2 of each of the die cuts, I have 1 more. And I'm thinking I want to tuck it underneath one of the snowbanks here. Now for my sentiment, I'm going to use the chipboard sticker that says, "Merry moments make merry memories." And then I did scoot it over my envelope just a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this panel. I'm going to add this to the center of that striped paper. I'll just press it down really good. Love the way that looks. So cute. And then last but not least, I'm going to bring in some of our sequins. Do we want some snowflakes in here? I'm going to add just a few sequins. I think 5 is like the magic number for sequins. So I'm just going to use my glue And we will add a few sequins just for a little sparkle. And that finishes card number 7. No, it's card number 8. Card number 8. That will finish card number 8. I might have called this card number 7, but my bad. Card number 8. We are going to move along to card number 9. Now card number 9, you're going to be surprised how quick and easy this is. Card number 9, I'm just using these because I wanted to show how quick and easy you can make a Santa belt. So I'm using one of the frames, and I'm going to remove the release paper. I have a 2-inch piece of the black cardstock. I'm just going to put this right in the middle, and voila, we have a Santa belt. I think that looks so simple, so easy, and it looks really cute. Just make sure it's centered. I'm going to quickly just flip this around. I have some of my pop-up foam tape. We're going to add that behind it. And then I'll add some tape behind here. This is going to go about 1 inch from the bottom. Quick and easy, but that looks definitely like Santa's belt. For my sentiment, I'm using the sentiment in the stamp set that says happy everything and no, merry everything and happy always. I'm going to stamp it right above the belt. And then I have my holly and my berries. Quick and easy, but I think it's a cute, it could be a masculine card. Cute little Santa belt card. Okay, for my final card today, I went ahead and stamped the sentiment that says Christmas wishes and gingerbread kisses. So that means we have to use our gingerbread. I love gingerbread. I'm going to start. There is one gingerbread that's in the cup, and we have one that matches it completely. I want a little dimension to this, so I'm going to use my craft knife once more. Take some cardstock here. And I'm going to take my craft knife and cut a slit where that gingerbread is. And then you can see I already put gems on my gingerbread just to save me some time. This is the Spellbinders Color Essential pink gems. They fit the buttons perfectly, so I put 2 on each one. I'm going to go ahead and trim my gingerbread, and we're going to tuck him inside the I'm going to call it coffee, but it's actually hot cocoa. So he's layered. And then what we can do is take a small foam square right behind his head, and then I can tack him down. You want to make sure he's exactly lined up. You don't want him to be doubled up. But now we have a little bit of dimension. How cute is that? Okay, now we have this little guy. He's a happy camper. I'm going to have him sitting right next to the candy cane. And I think that looks just adorable. Before I go any further, I'm going to stop and put some foam tape behind here. Okay, now we have some pattern paper. This is 3 inches tall. I'm going to take both of the scallops that are in our die cut pack. I'm going to add a thin bead of glue to the very top of each one of these, and then we're going to put that scalloped on the edge of our plaid paper here. Is this 2 inches? Yes, a 2-inch strip of this pattern paper. I'm going to flip this around, and we're going to add some adhesive behind it. Tack this down right in the middle of that plaid paper, and then I'm going to take my paper trimmer just so I get a straight line. I'm going to cut this side off here. That way we have a straight edge. I wrote my measurements in here. There, I know it's 2 inches wide, but I got the width off. Now, since we have this panel, I'm going to flip this around, and we have some foam we're going to put behind it. I think that looks good. I'm going to flip this around. We're going to take some adhesive, and we'll add some foam behind here. I'm adding our hot cocoa a little bit towards the right because we have one more gingerbread. And he is going to go, okay, so we have a little shine on that heart, and that will finish that card. Now, before the sun goes down, you can see the sun peeking in. I'm going to go ahead and go over all 10 cards that I made today with the Spellbinders card kit of the month. It's for October 2022. It's called Oh Wet Fun. So here's all 10 cards. I'm kind of laying them flat because some of them still need to dry. But I love our little shakers, cute. And then we also have our poinsettia flower here. Love the center of those. But thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon.